Today we've got Suzette Hattingh, and Suzette will be sharing with you some of her great insights. We also have the Dream Team again, so I look forward to seeing you at the end of the show. Hi, I'm Pamela Segneri, and I'm here with Suzette Hattingh, and it's a great pleasure to have Suzette with us because you don't come to Australia very often.
That is true.
But you are certainly well travelled. So you're born in South Africa?
That's correct. I'm born South Africa, but I am German.
Yes.
And have travelled until now, by God's grace, through 69 nations. When I started full-time work or working for God, I started with Reinhard Bonnke in 1980. And worked for him 18 years. First as the women evangelist, and then later doing all the intercession work, preparing all his events worldwide. And then later became his co-evangelist. And then after 18 years, he was actually the one who came to me and said that God spoke to him and said, Suzette, I must let you fly like an eagle. And I was quite surprised. I was flying just fine as far as I was concerned, but I trusted him. And I thank God for spiritual fathers and leaders we can trust.
Absolutely.
And that a new ministry can start not because of a problem, but because of a blessing. And that's how it was. And that's how it is until today. Because he is still the man and the spiritual father I look up to. And until today, we have a wonderful contact and relationship. And so Voice in the City, which is our ministry, has been born and founded and is based in Germany with 7 offices in the world.
You have seen some absolutely outstanding supernatural miracles.
Yes, I think everything that God does is supernatural because He is the source of the supernatural. You know, I think that healing is not just an ache and a pain being gone, but I think that Jesus is the source of the miraculous. And no matter if it is a pain that is gone, or a headache, or a cancer, or a tumor disappearing, or a family that's being restored, or a young person that come to Jesus Christ, or whatever, to me that is the supernatural. And I have seen some of the most amazing physical miracles being done by the Lord. I've seen, for example, well, it's hard to mention even some of the most, but let me talk about one that happened just at one of our outreaches in Ambon in Indonesia. This lady came to our evangelistic outreach, and she has had a colostomy. Now, for people that doesn't know what that quite is, that's the opening on the side where the normal function of her intestines would happen. And she had this operation, and everything else was closed up, as you could understand. And then in the meeting, actually, she was just sitting in the crowd. And so many of the things that happen where God healed people or changed people actually does not happen when we pray for them. It happens during the preaching, amazingly enough. And so she just felt suddenly her pain was gone. And the next night she came again, and then that night she went to her mom. She says, my pain is gone. And then she could not keep food in. She really was slowly dying of this. And by the third night, suddenly in the night she woke up and she said to her mom, I must go to the bathroom. And her mom says, but you can't, it's impossible. She says, Mom, I must go now, go with me. Her mom did, and God did a creative miracle, opening everything the doctors has closed up and closing up what the doctors has opened. An absolute creative miracle. And so we can tell story after story of some of the most amazing things where tumors disappeared, brain tumors disappeared, complete disability happened and God restored all of that. Oh, we haven't got enough time to tell all the wonderful things He's been doing.
No, but the thing is that the source is our loving Heavenly Father.
That's correct.
And when we understand that, nothing is impossible.
That's
and
right.
we change our mindset, and when we change He's already there.
That's right.
It's just a matter of us coming onto the same page with Him.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes, that's how I see it as well. And I think that if we just look around us, so many small things that, you know, we talk about the big things, but there's so many small things that God does almost every day around us, which I see as a miracle. I was in the garden this morning, and it's spring here in Adelaide, and I was just looking at the fruit trees, and they're just all starting to bud and blossom. And I was just thinking, you know, that is a miracle just in itself, that they know after a cold,
hard, revolting winter,
That's right.
just went to spring forth.
That's great.
Back into new life. And so for us, it's just a matter of getting out of the way and letting him.
That's very true. I do believe, though, that God works through his people.
Oh, of course he does.
You know, I often say to people, I even said this morning, I said, it's touching heaven and having my feet on earth.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And many times people think that if you are moving with the supernatural things, it's all just almost mystical. So it's not at all.
No.
It's extremely practical and down to earth.
Yes.
Jesus was practical.
Yes.
Jesus was down to earth. Jesus was in touch with the people. Jesus was where the level of the people were and is today.
Yes.
So it's very relevant today in our lives.
Yes.
And so the supernatural to me is not, which many people say, almost like spooky in one way. You know, it is down to earth, practical, normal. I say the supernatural is as natural as breathing.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's what it is at.
Yeah.
And so looking around us, seeing God doing these amazing miracles, which almost became to us a lifestyle. And because he is the miracle worker, not us.
Yeah.
But he works still through his people.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's super normal, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. It's just, this is my normal life. It's just super powered.
That is right. That is right.
And so when people sit next to you, healing just comes to them. Or whatever it is they need, because it just is around us and on us, and that's the lifestyle thing.
It's a lifestyle. To me, the miraculous is a lifestyle. Like evangelism is a lifestyle. Like worship is loving Jesus is in him. We live and move and have our being. That doesn't make us abnormal, though. It doesn't make us to a place. And I'm a very strong believer in being in touch. With the world. In touch. We might not be of this world, but we are living in this world.
Of course.
So I absolutely believe that we need to be relevant to those around us.
Yes.
Be it in the workplace, be it in the spiritual where we are in church, be it in the airplane, be it wherever.
And that without compromise.
Yeah, correct.
Because often, in order to become relevant, many people feel they need to compromise. And that's quite a different thing.
Then we are not real.
Well, that's right.
And you know, those people in front, wherever we compromise, they know it.
Yes, of course they do. They absolutely do. And then we've lost our relevance anyway.
True.
Because they zone out, they're not going to listen to us anymore because we've lost the position that God placed us in that situation, and you know, we've compromised, we've come down to their level and perhaps a little lower in many cases. We'll be back shortly. We're talking with Suzette Hattingh, and it's just a joy to have you here, Suzette.
Thank you very much.
We're really enjoying this.
Genesis 28, it talks about Jacob's ladder. And how, as Jacob laid down upon a bed of rocks, how there was a ladder set up from earth to heaven, and angels were ascending and descending. Jesus made reference to that in John 1. I think Jesus wants us to go deeper than dreams and visions, but at this point in time, realize that God wants to open, or has opened through Christ, a doorway into heaven, into another realm, which we have access to through Christ. And so we have, as it were, within us, access to Christ through our heart. The Bible says, Jesus was asked by the Pharisees and the other religious teachers, when's the kingdom of heaven or kingdom of God coming? And he said, you won't see it with observation because the kingdom of God is within you. That's Luke 17. Now realize that what he was actually teaching and saying is this, that our hearts are a receptor of heaven, and Jacob's ladder is within us. And so the top of Jacob's ladder is here, and the bottom of Jacob's ladder is here. And so what we receive by revelation here, God calls us then to speak it out or move in action in agreement with what God reveals to us. And in doing so, we are ushers of the kingdom. And so we bring heaven to earth, like earth, as we grab a hold of the revelation that we receive from him, and then we move on that, or speak it out, decree it.
In Revelation 4, the scripture says there's a door standing open in heaven. Now the door's already open, and God wants us to position ourselves into a place of worship. And I constantly come into a place when I worship the Lord, I come into a place of being intimate with my God, and it positions you to that door, because Jesus is the door.
Yes.
And when you actually rest and go into a half asleep mode, like when you sleep, you go into an alpha sleep. You're not awake, you're not deeply asleep. You're actually about to go to sleep, and then you actually come into a place where you have visions rushing through your mind. This is right before you go to sleep. Now that's a place where you position yourself by the door near Jesus, and you actually get these visions that come to you. And a lot of them might be abstract, but when you have these abstract visions, they're actual parables, and God can speak to you in this way. In the book of Acts, Peter on the rooftop had these visions. He actually came into a place where he went into a trance, and these visions, the Lord spoke to him about the Gentiles, how the gospel is for everybody. So this is something that I want to encourage you with. When Adrian's talking about an open heaven and portals, this is a place where we can tap into in the New Covenant era. The portals of God are actually inside of us, and God wants us to come near that door, and God will communicate with you.
So we've been talking about Jacob's ladder, and that the top of Jacob's ladder is here, the bottom of Jacob's ladder is here. And so as we are bringing revelation to this realm, or to see the kingdom manifest, often you may see in a dream a ladder, an escalator, a lift, or a bridge, something that transports us, or is a transitionary device to bring us from one realm to another. So what do you think, Adam?
Well, in a dream, if you have a bridge, you're walking over a bridge is a metaphor for communication. It's something where you go from A to B. It's actually God's bringing you into another dimension, into another place in your workplace. It might be in your family life. It might be finance. Usually we have dreams when someone's walking through a corridor. I don't know if you have a dream where you're walking through a hallway or a corridor, and there's many doors, and you have to choose a door. That's very common. And what that is God is bringing you from A to B. You're actually going through a transition. It means you're going through a transition, and that transition could be challenges, and God is calling you to choose the right door, and He'll speak to you. So doors and portals, escalators, if you're actually having a dream of going up an escalator, means God is bringing you into a place of the things of the Spirit. He's bringing you into heavenly encounters. He's calling you to be intimate with Him. If you're actually coming down an escalator, and it's not a bad thing, it depends on the context of the dream, you could be bringing heaven into earth. You can bring the invisible into the physical natural realm. If you're actually catching a lift down to the basement, that could be a negative thing. It means that you're probably not in a good place. But also, basement could be in the foundation. God is actually bringing you back to your original foundation in your life of Jesus Christ, and that should be your foundation, the rock you should stand on.
I've seen sometimes, like, if a person was going into the basement, it could actually be going back into the inside, or the deep of them, deep into their heart. So God, like Adam was saying, could be dealing with foundational issues. And so bridges, escalators, lifts, whatever you'd like to call them, are really transitionary devices. And so a hallway can be the image of a passage of time.
Hey mate, the time is up, so we have to go. We'll see you next week.
We're back with Suzette, and we're talking about the extensive work you have done in the nations around the world, which is remarkable. So how many nations have you travelled to?
I have been through 69 nations.
And how many nations do you generally travel to in a year?
Normally it could be anything between 12 to 14 nations per year.
That's huge. That's very, very impressive. But there are certain nations that are really on your heart right now that you're doing significant work in. So why don't you share with us, just how God's using you?
Well, by God's grace, I can truly say that maybe in about 10 months, we just started counting together last year how many people I had the privilege to speak face to face to, like I'm doing, not even over TV or radio or anything like that. And it came to about 116 to 119,000 in 10 months' time. But that's not the point.
No.
Because the heart of God starts for one.
Yes.
If I've lost the heart of God for one, I've lost the heart of God.
Yes.
So to me, it's not the crowds. Crowd is not the issue. However, by God's grace, some of the nations that's really on my heart is, of course, Indonesia at this time. So we are working extensively in Indonesia, especially Papua.
Yeah.
Now, Papua Indonesia is not Papua New Guinea, and many people get that completely mixed up.
Yes.
Papua New Guinea is really a nation in its own right,
Yes.
and Papua Indonesia is under the Indonesian government, which is still the largest Muslim country in the world.
Yes.
So when the Lord spoke to me to go and work in Papua, most people thought it's impossible. They thought, how would this German girl go to Papua and work there? Quite honestly, I didn't know myself how it's going to work. I just knew that God spoke to me. And why? Because I believe that God spoke to me clearly. It also happened one morning while I was actually praying for an outreach we had there. And I stood just on the veranda overlooking the bay, preparing for that morning's meeting, now in the hotel room. And the next moment I saw little lights moving. And I thought, that's just the reflection of the sun on the water. I went back into my room and came out again, and it happened again. And suddenly those little lights became like Christmas lights and formed the map of Papua. And it became a mighty river. That's where I understood God is showing me His heart for that land or that part of the nation.
Yeah.
And of course, every nation says, revival is going to happen in our nation and impact the world. I am not saying that this is going to be now the end time revival from Papua. I'm just saying God spoke to me. I need to work there.
Yeah.
So I went there and we first started with prayer schools.
Yeah.
Actually, it first started with evangelistic outreaches in 4 major cities. Big nights, be it 23,000, 29,000, 30,000 per night. That was not the issue. I saw that the evangelistic outreaches is not enough to impact the land at its roots.
Yeah.
Because so many of Papua is still illiterate, cannot read nor write.
Yes.
And so if we want to reach the people in the inland, it was very clear to me that your city outreaches is not going to do it.
No.
So I said we have to raise up prayer. So then we started these prayer schools and start these prayer initiatives all over the land. We started in 4 cities with the prayer schools and trained 7,000 intercessors in 3 weeks. And then from there, we started with what we call Waking the Dawn. Now, Waking the Dawn is every Saturday morning at 4:30 all over Papua. People come together from different denominations to pray for their city.
Wow.
Now that's the point. On a Saturday morning at 4:30 till 6, different denominations, different people, and they go and pray at the governor's building, or at this place, or at the school, or at the hospital, or at this place, or at that place, at different places every Saturday morning. And so that has had tremendous impact in the cities and in the areas to bring forth a unity and a movement of prayer.
Yeah.
And then God spoke to me to start a center, a training center, where we bring people from the inland or from different areas of Papua, even from other areas of Indonesia has been joining us. And so in this 1 year, 4 months, we trained 2,700 people in one of our centers. The second center has been opened 4 months ago, and in that center we've already trained 700 people. Now that in itself is not as remarkable as the results of this.
Yeah.
The people come in, they learn, they receive from the Lord, they go back to their own villages.
Yes.
And they took the Great Commission in a very simplistic way back to their own. And we see whole villages turn to God. We see witch doctors getting born again. Just in 1 year's time, we saw 14 witch doctors who actually come, bring their witchcraft, which is remarkable in that culture, and give their lives to Jesus and being trained. One of them was the most feared witch doctor of all. He is one of our best evangelists at the moment. He's going out there. So we see villages, whole villages in transformation. We see the weather change, we see the fruit change, we see the area change, we see the culture change, we see marriages change, we see everything change. Now to me, that is transformation.
Yes, indeed.
When these people go back, just to give you a testimony, they went back, they learned to pray. So at one prayer meeting, they told us afterwards, suddenly they heard something like wind. They don't even know they talk about the book of Acts.
No.
You understand?
Yeah.
And then the building shook. He said, and then things were falling off the walls. And God started healing the people. And they brought in a man there, which they said was 5 hours there already, was ready for burial. And then the Lord, they started praying, and the Lord raised him from the dead. That's not my staff. That's the people who were trained.
Yes.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Papua is being transformed by their own people having been trained through our center and through the different centers. So now when I go back, we are working very much with prayer schools, with transformation, with outreaches, going into areas where most people would never even wanted to go, and that's where I got the honor from being called the Mama of Papua.
Which is, and culturally that is a huge honor.
Oh, they could not have honored me greatly.
No.
That is the greatest honor they could give me.
Give you, yeah.
And you know how that happened? We came back from a meeting and they just said, I walked in and they sat about 500 men. I thought, where are the ladies? And then afterwards I said to my interpreter, where are the ladies? He says, don't ask. So afterwards I talked to the leaders and I said, excuse me, where are the ladies? They says, no women. No women where the ark for men are. I says, then why do you allow me in? They said, if you've come as a missionary or just as a teacher or a preacher, we would never allow you to speak to us. But because we, as the tribes of Papua, has adopted you as our mother, you've got the right to speak. What an honor before God Almighty. So in that, we can say, in that nation, that's very much what we are doing. Of course, I'm not alone. I've got a wonderful team working with me. And then we go to America. And in America, we work in their high security prisons. On death row.
Yeah.
That's what we are doing. And then we go into different nations. It all depends to me what that nation needs.
Yes.
Most of the time, like in the Western nations or the first world countries, we also bring in this very thing we do here. We bring the gospel of Jesus Christ, we train the people, then we go into the streets, show the love of God, and at night then have this evangelistic outreach with signs, wonders and miracles. So we do that across the world. And then we also do very much, we are very blessed. I'm the proud grandmother of 34 children in our children's home in Indonesia. So there's a lot of aspects of Voice in the City, which is truly to be a voice of God in the city.
Yes.
I just have one word I would like to say, if I may. And I would like to speak to somebody right now that has been watching me and you've been very discouraged. You felt that God has not been speaking to you. You've not been breaking through. You've not seen the results. I'm speaking especially to a pastor that's watching me. And you said that, God, if you don't speak to me very soon, I am finished with full-time work. I have got the message of the Lord for you. You will not give up. This is not the time to give up. That's the time to press in. God already spoke to you about fasting and praying. I encourage you to do just that and spend time just in worshiping the Lord. It's not about success, it's about intimacy. It's about coming before the Lord and seeking Him. I want to say to you that within 3 years your church will double because you will see the results of God. Then I also talked to a woman who is watching me here with a tumor on your right and the right side of your throat. While I was speaking, that already disappeared. I encourage you to please go to your doctor and to make sure and to have it tested and give the testimony in your church, please. One last, I want to talk to somebody that fell and slipped and you actually slipped a disc in your back. I want to talk to you right now. Please stand up, move about, because you will see that that pain is gone. Please go back to your doctor, have it properly checked, and you will see that God has done a creative miracle in your back. And in Jesus' name, if you watch me and I haven't mentioned your sickness or your problem, know that it's not about me mentioning it. The living God is right there with you to touch you right now. In Jesus' name, your pain is gone and your problem can be lifted because Jesus Christ is alive.
If you're one of those people and you received that word today from Suzette, I just encourage you to not only go to your church and testify, but let us know, because it's really important that we know that you're being touched, because that encourages us. It's a great joy to tell you that on next week's show, we have Ken Fish back again. So I know you're going to enjoy him, and I look forward to seeing you then.